when I talk about this in real life, I'm always like, hey, if you ever do try it, just let me know and I can come show you around. Because if you're on your own and you try this thing out, it's not going to be a good time. You're not going to have fun. You're going to come out of it and think, what the fuck was that?
Welcome back to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion, and today it's just me, Raptors, off doing other things. So thank you for joining us. And may I ask, who are you?
Hello, I'm Sox.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us, Sox. It's a pleasure to meet you. Oh,
Thank you for having me on.
not a problem. What is it you do here in this virtual land?
I am a DJ and event organizer. I guess that's what I'd call myself.
Oh, so let's start from the beginning. How did you get into VR and into DJing?
Right. So I'm pretty new here. I've probably been about 18 months, if that. I was between jobs in the summer, and I had an old CV1 lying around, and I thought, let's give VRchat a go, like everyone does. Tried out a few black cats, and I hung out in is it Midnight Rooftop?
Yeah, Midnight Rooftop is
yeah.
common world.
Yeah. Treehouse in the Shade, and then one day I found, I think, Straz's video on YouTube about the VR rave scene, right? And I think it was a Wednesday. When I watched the video, I was like, yeah, I gotta try this. Went to DDVR that night and just stayed there, never left. That was the beginning of the end for me.
Oh, so once entering the rave scene, how'd you get into DJing and event organizing?
So I had a friend who was running an event called Sunday Mass at the time. And it's for like just homies and new DJs to play and practice. And I think it was him. He said you should try it one time. Get yourself a controller and just try it out. And my brother had a tiny little CDJ 200. It's like, yeah, tiny little controller. I stole it from him. And yeah, and then it sort of went from there.
Oh, so how did you? What was your first steps into the rave scene like? What made you want to stay that night at DDVR?
Oh, I mean, I've always loved dance music. I was always that weird rave kid at school, right? um, uh, and growing up, my dad was into trance and like Gate Crashers, albums like that. I got really into like hardcore when I was a teenager. So like Clubland, Helter Skelter, those sort of record labels. So I've always loved rave music. I've always loved partying. I've been to a lot of festivals in Europe, and I guess I fell out of love a little bit, especially during COVID there was nothing going on, like absolutely nothing, obviously. So I sort of never got back into going out IRL after COVID, and but in here it's so good. I mean, I'm one of those people that gets really annoyed by phones. So going to especially festivals and live events, like big events, everyone's just recording. It really started to bug me. In here, there's none of that. It's really community based. I met a bunch of cool people. People, from all corners. North America, Europe, and yeah, just I fell in love with people basically, and just never left.
Oh, so what was your first day in the rave scene like then? What was your first instance of going in, and tell us about it?
Yeah, it was a DDVR Aqua, which is a map I think they still use, and I was obviously a half body in a CV1, and I just went nuts, just dancing all night. I had no play space in the beginning, so I was absolutely terrified I was gonna punch my TV or something. I can't remember the DJs, but my my brother actually came in and was like, "What the fuck were you doing last night?" I was like, "Right, okay, I gotta tell you about this." Yeah, yeah, DVR, like great group of people, Pack, Tefu, Veru as well. Yeah, it just absolutely awesome people. Because I didn't really know, obviously from the documentary, I knew about shelter and stuff like that. But I didn't know any ways in, right? You have to know for a lot of these clubs.
Yeah.
And I remember, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I just said yeah. I was agreeing with you. I wasn't. It tried to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No. I ramble. You'll figure this out. I didn't actually know how to get in because I tried to get into a Just Party before I went to DDVR, and they used to send like Discord invites, right? Join us in VRchat. There's X amount of people, but I didn't know you had to be like friends with the host or you know groups wasn't a thing. So I remember like frantically like there must be something wrong with my VRchat. I can't get in. I never made it. And then DDVR. I was like, oh, dummy, you have to friend this person and get in there. Yeah, it sticks out a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the funny things I don't think a lot of people know. It's like, like once you're into the scene, finding events and getting into events is easy because they're always promoting it. But once you step outside, it's so hard to know where to go. Like when I first hopped into into VRchat, I had no idea those clubs or had events you could go to. I thought, oh, cool, someone made a really cool world that looks like a club. Okay, next world off to Midnight Rooftop or something.
Right.
At this last year, as once I started looking for events, like for example, baptism as an example, or rave till the grave. Once I started going, talking to them and getting into like seeing the seeds, I was like, wow, they're everywhere. Why was I this blind?
Yeah, it can be tricky. I mean, I don't exactly know what it's like for a new user today because we have. I mean, I'm not too sure. Like Twitter and things like the Party Hub. Party Hub was a thing when I first started. But groups weren't, right? Groups are a big thing now, and like the VRC timeline, right? You can check out everything that's going on. It sends you straight away to you need to go. But I imagine still you need to know someone that knows someone to find these things, right? And organizers and promoters, we do our best, right? We push it out there and we try and tell everyone. But it is a little bit of a bubble.
It's kind of like the real life events, like the real life underground raves, where once you get in, you get posters and people tell you where to go. But once outside, you have no idea the warehouse is an actual rave down the road. VRchat kind of feels like that.
Yeah. Definitely. It's a good thing and a bad thing, right? You can. Is it Pandora's box if all of a sudden the whole of VRchat knows that these clubs are going on, these events? You know, it would definitely come with a lot of problems, I think. And you know, because I hang out in public lobbies sometimes, right? Black cats and stuff. I'll just go and chill just to see the other side of it, just to remind myself. And I've had people say like, "Oh, do you mind if I friend you?" And the first question is like, "Well, first, how old are you?" Because if you're under 18, no, you can't. I'm sorry, like no. The whole. What am I trying to say here? The whole friend of a friend aspect of it is a good thing in my opinion because there's a lot of cool people in the rave scene, and you can tell, right? And it's a sort of energy and it's a mindset that I want to keep, or I'd like the scene to keep. You know, just have cool people come in, have fun. Yeah.
I could definitely see that. And at least with like the age gating, most VRChat clubs are like both rave and the more salacious variety. Usually are really good at
Mm,
telling who's a kid,
mm-hmm,
age verification of some sort, although within legal means. Generally, it's usually like a picture of your birth date on your ID or something like that. But
mm-hmm.
at least they have that mindset to try and keep what goes on in the underground away from people who shouldn't see it. But even then, you can't always tell. It's just
Yeah,
it's just
it's
risky.
hard. Yeah, yeah, and you know, we do our best. I mean, I personally do my best. I've had to kick out a couple people that I've found just party for whatever reason. And you just like, I'm really sorry, but this isn't the place for you. If... Oh, my hip.
Oh.
Oh no. It's turned off. Of course it has. Of course.
It's one of the funny things
um,
about trackers. If your base station doesn't see you, they just all go to bed.
yeah, yeah. VRchat be VRchat.
Mm.
You know, we're still coping in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Here
Nope,
we go.
it happens. Funny
Yeah.
story about like tracker issues, and don't apologize. I remember once I was doing a podcast with a friend of mine, White Strelitzia, someone I've known for a very, very long time, and we were joking around, and for some reason I went to throw my legs in the air, and it's that exact moment with both legs up is when my VRChat crashed. So for a little bit on the camera, you could see my legs in the air, kind of like this, just pointed up in the air, frozen, and you hear Raptor and White in the background just giving wisecracks the entire time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, you gotta love the jank. You gotta love it. You know, it's like welcome to VR chat where everything breaks. Nothing's polished, and you gotta laugh. You gotta
well,
love it.
well,
Go.
even with those issues, it has personality in that sense. It's not like everything.
Yeah.
I'd much rather VRChat be the way it is than like the overly corporatized, like Ready Player One view of things where ads everywhere and everything works and you could buy whatever you want, wherever you want, although that does have an allure to it. At least VRChat has its own unique personality. Yeah, sometimes it runs face first in a stop sign, but that's kind of the allure of it.
Yeah, it's the fun of it. It's great, and like with your story, it leads to just so many fucking so many laughs and just so many funny moments. Like whether it's like a hip tracker that just flies off into the distance, you know, or crashes, like you say. Yeah, yeah. You gotta love it, and it really has. It has got a character to it. I don't know if I really want the super polished, like you say, metaverse. You know, if Zuck comes in and does his own thing,
Mm,
it is. It's made for people by people, right? The
yeah.
world that we're in, the worlds that have been in any of your podcasts, have been made by a member of the community, someone that plays this game, right, and gets it.
Mm.
Um, I don't know about you, but like I put my avatar together.
Oh.
And if you've got a custom Avi, then you've probably done that, and you've learned how to use Blender and Unity and everything else. You know, and that's the fun of it too. You know, you made
Mm.
this. Someone made. You know.
Mm. I do very much agree with you there. Like, I do like the fact that this is like by the people, for the people kind of feel. Though also, no offense, VR chat and all you devs over there, but I'd also kind of like to see competition come in where it is super polished, where you can do those things
Mm.
just to see what further can develop. Like for example, when VR chat released to the most recent Unity engine, how far and quickly people started working with it and building. And once you add a level of competition amongst people, especially the platforms, they're going to have to do better because up until even today, and for a while, VRChat's been the king of them. I call it the king of the metaverse because what's the first place you go when you get a headset? It's VRChat. When you type
Yeah.
in VR or metaverse inside YouTube and Google, what do you get? VRChat content everywhere. It's like the first place people see. It'd be nice to see something else.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, it's my metaverse. It's my metaverse. This is my beloved. Not that I've tried anything else, but but you're right, and you have a point. What I don't want to, what I don't want to lose if that happens, or what I wouldn't want to lose, is the like raw creativity, right?
Yeah.
The ability to make literally whatever you want. If you can make it in Unity, if you can make it in Blender, as long as it's within these set of rules, go for it. You know, make make some weird avatars, make some really awesome looking ones, make some crazy worlds that live inside your head until you've had the opportunity to make it.
And I do agree with you, and I think that's what allows Vrchat to be the king. Because once you come in here and you like learn Unity and Blender, or DJ or make music, this place no longer becomes a game. It's like a sandbox.
Yeah, yeah. Communities are a whole different side of this thing. The club scene, obviously, the rave scene. That's where I hang out most. But you know, the role play like communities, the dance communities, like learning how to dance, and the dance academies. I think I really, if there's anyone watching this that knows, I think there's a race community, like racing community in here, right?
Yeah.
And like they have their steering wheels and they do time trials, right? That'd be super cool. I know there's a group of people that do like the dog fights, right?
The piloting community is huge.
Planes and stuff. Yeah, exactly, right. And it maybe you want to make something in Blender and avatars and worlds and stuff, but there is a whole different side of it, which is like, right, you have an interest, you want to find a group of people and do fun, crazy stuff together. Find it. If you can't find it, make it. Because anything, you know.
Another thing I like about Vrchat as a platform is it's not like all the non-VR platforms. You have an algorithm force feeding and ads, and this is what you should like. Vrchat's like, I don't like the world. Let's go see something else. There's nothing like trying to ram specific things in your face. It's just, I meet a person, and then you end up off in the rave scene over in DDVR or Club O, and the next thing you know, you're learning DJing or dancing, and now you're owning a club now. It's like, it's a very different experience, Vrchat is. It's more, I guess, natural, community-based. It's like how things used to be before computers, now kind of brought back in a virtual sense.
Yeah, crazy, right? You come into Vrchat and you have to chat with people.
Yeah,
and you do. You do. You meet some awesome people in here. Like people that are just doing wild, crazy shit just because they want to, just because it interests them, or like they just want an outlet to do stuff. Like you say, DJing and people that do lighting and the visuals, right? This is just the rave scene, like photographers, videographers. Yeah, it is. For me anyway, it's been so fun. It's so good. I forgot the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, sorry, fair warning. Sorry about that. I don't mean to lead into you like that.
No, go. No, you're good. You're good. You're fine.
If I ever feel like I'm interrogating you, just tell me, because I'm gonna rapid fire questions at points. Like one such question.
No.
What kind of people have you met along your Vrchat path that kind of stuck with you or inspired you in some way?
I love creatives, artists, especially, or artists. I really like deep thinkers as well. I have some friends in here that will, in this world, that I'll just come and hang out and we'll talk for an hour or two and just really shoot the shit. So I didn't even ask. Am I allowed to curse on this?
Go the fuck ahead. Fuckity, fuck.
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's go.
I don't think, now to be honest, I don't think YouTube likes it, but I don't care.
No,
this is for fun.
Buddy. I'm sorry.
No, I don't care. This is for fun. If YouTube wants to restrict it because I said fuck, 12 times now? I don't care. This isn't for money or fame. This
We're
is
good.
I enjoy it, like meeting people like you. That's what this is about. It's
Hmm.
not about like I get to make money and all that cool shit. It's not about that for me.
Yeah, yeah. No, fair, fair. Okay, I like that. Yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, I really like creatives. People that are just doing wild stuff. People that just build their own hardware. They just got servers just sitting in their bedroom. Um, because before VRchat was a normal dude, right?
Mm,
I watched football and went down the pub and did all the British things and.
mm.
I found VRchat and I was like, wow, there's people that also like dance music, and there's also people that are weird, nerdy, like weird nerds who are into tech. I'm like, where has this been my whole life?
Do you still do any of those things, or do you like strictly all in VR chat now?
I mean, I probably should go out more. I'm in here a lot. I probably should go out. Um, outside, I'm still a student. Well, I went back to school.
Hmm.
Just as I found VRchat, which was probably a terrible decision. I went back to school. I work like a normal. Well, I do shift work, so I have a normal Monday to Friday job. And it's like, do you want to come for some drinks on Friday after work? And I'm like, I don't know about that. I got places to be in a couple hours.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. It's a rabbit hole, and it can get you. It really can.
Mm.
Like you said before, it starts to feel not like a game, right? It's a third place where all your friends are, and you can go hang out and catch up with people that you really care about. So, no, I don't go to the pub as much as I used to.
Mm. Well, at least in VR chat, when you go to the VR club or pub, it's not like you're spending less money. It's not like you go to a bar, spend $10 a drink, hang it all night. Next thing you know, it's like $400 in the hole. At least in VR chat's like $40, 30 rack of cheap beer, an entire night of fun at a VR chat club, which you don't pay admission to. Which is honestly one of the things that surprised me about VR chat the most is how much people push into those things without asking for anything. It's just for fun. But at least here, you could do that and not like blow your money.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Drinks are expensive. And there's the food on the way home, right? The dirty kebab and the taxi or the train, and then or a hotel if you're going further. And don't get me wrong, I've been to a few IRL events still, and I've met up with a couple of people that I met in here in real life, right? There's definitely a side of that you should still do, or I should still do. um, but yeah, it's for fun. This is the rave scene. It's not EDC, right? The the club that I help organize, it's called Just Party for a reason, right? This isn't EDC. This isn't a big club in London. This is if you've got nowhere else to go, or if you really want to come have fun, come say hi, enjoy the music. Don't take it too seriously, you know.
Mm. So, since you've said before that you've been to real life rave events and festivals, what is, in your own words, what's the difference between the two, between VR raves and festivals and real life ones?
Um, I mean, I was really into Future House for a few years. So I went, and Big Room. I went to see like all the big names, Martin Garrix and Guetta, Tiesto, big DJs, big name DJs. And I was like, yeah, this is super cool. I had a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. But the amount of different types of music that I can hear in here, there's no comparison. Or maybe there is, and I'm just dumb. But so many genres where I'm like, wow, this is a thing, right? I'm really into hardcore, and I DJ a lot of happy hardcore, and I feel like that's quite hard to find. I think like in the UK, there's a couple of events that you could go to, but festivals, nah. Um, Yeah, and there's no phones, like I said before. You know, there's no. I've been to like a lot of festivals where it's like, oh, well, the music's finished and it's now a 40-minute walk to my tent, right? When I've been drinking all day with thousands of people all walking in the same direction. The ease of it in here, it's so, you know, put my headset on, go to a club, take it off, I'm in bed, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a point a lot of people make.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess those would be the ones that come to mind.
So the convenience of partying in VR chat is more alluring than going to a giant festival then.
Again, both are good.
Okay.
I flew out to Vegas last May.
Cool.
And yeah, I flew. You know, obviously I'm in the UK. Took the 10-hour flight on my own to Vegas. Met with a load of people that I knew. It was actually DDVR that did organized the meetup. Very sorted that. Yeah, and it was an awesome time. Absolutely incredible. I guess because I would usually like go with my brother's really into dance music as well. I'd go with him. Or I'd go with a couple friends that I had at the time, but we didn't really speak that much and we were never really that close. In here, it's like, oh, I get to meet, you know, Tef, or I get to meet Veru or Tefu. People that I actually really wanted to meet and spend time with. Yeah, and there was so many cool people there that, you know.
What was the event, the meetup like? Because I haven't done any of those myself. So
yeah, it was a trip. It was the first time I'd met anyone in real life that I'd met in VR chat. And one thing I noticed is my brain just went nuts for like the first 10 minutes. It was like, oh, I know these people, but I've never actually seen them before, and I'm trying to make connections. Like, okay, you're you, and you're you. But yeah, it was so much fun. And it was really nice putting bodies to face, or bodies to voices, should we say? You know, physical touch as well. I was like, yeah, wow, I actually really get to spend time with these people. Yeah, a lot of DJing. Just, you know, being around people that were like, hey, we're gonna have a few drinks in the back, and we've got a mixer set up. Do you want to have a go? And we'll just hang out. Like, fuck yeah, I want that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you find that the people you knew real life face matched the avatar that you know them by?
Oh no. No. It comes out in different ways. Obviously, like, you don't have to look, I'm a dude, right? Look at me. Um, but it's a lot like, this might be a bit cringy and a bit deep, but you see someone's soul in their avatar, right? And you see their energy and how they want to be perceived, or like, you know, maybe what's inside a little bit more. So when you meet people in real life and you get to know their mannerisms, and you're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
There's been a couple of times in which like people I know intimately in VR, like, will turn on face cams like, holy crap, you look like your avatar, even though they're like a gray furry fox and is a lot older. It's kind of crazy how some people can, like, even though they're not a fox in real life, they do resemble their avatar greatly when you see them.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of because I've discussed this with friends before. Like, like mannerisms, a lot of their body language, the way they dance and the way they hold themselves, like it does pass over. So, you know, maybe you can't see someone's face, but a lot of it is still there and recognizable.
You got a point there. Kind of crazy how like the more this VR metaverse thing lasts, how less gamey it feels. It feels a little bit more real than it does. Like, I've heard many stories of people like meet somebody or their personality does a flip once they come in here because maybe they came here and they're really socially anxious, and then they started meeting people in VR and they became more comfortable, which bled over to the real life, and now they're a person who talks at every parties and has a great time, and very different from how they used to be. It's kind of how more real VR this whole thing feels sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. You see growth in people. You do. I have a friend. I won't name them. But I have a friend who, when we first met and first hanging out and went to clubs, complete mute, right? And just would not talk, and that's fine, if that's the way you want to play the game. But slowly, slowly, we were hanging out in a like a cozy world after a club once, right? And I just heard this voice, and I was like, nah, no way, nah, that wasn't you, that wasn't you. You kind of second guessing yourself, and them slowly coming out of their shell and becoming more confident, like talking around us, like it's so nice to see. Yeah, I love it.
It's quite exciting to see people have that kind of growth, even if it's in VR. Like, going from that person who like too shy to speak to now the most boisterous personality in the room. It's very exciting to see that kind of growth in people.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. You know, it- people call me a pipeliner. I called my new event pipelined. That I'm starting to run. Because I'll meet people in this game, and I'm like, oh, yo, what do you do? Like, what are you interested in? When are you buying a controller? When are you gonna DJ? You should give it a go. You should do it. Um,
People like
because getting on the fun.
people
You know.
like you that do that remind me of a stall that was in VCAT this year. You know the whole like there's an avatar where you walk at the booth. There's 3 TVs and you see kind of avatars poking in and out of the TVs, and the one reaches out and
Right.
beckons you in. You remind me of that whole like personality of you should try DJing and be pipeline. Kind of has that feel to it sometimes.
I didn't go to VCAT. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't. I'm sorry, but yeah, you should. Look, just being a crowd, just being part of the crowd, just attending these events and having fun. That's enough, right? The scene wouldn't be the scene that it is without those people. But getting involved is so much fun. Be a host, be a VJ, start running your own thing. Do it, because the more people that are starting to do that, maybe the bigger this thing gets, and who knows where it'll go. That's my mindset.
I do agree with you, and at least not for the whole, not just for fun, but like it's also a hobby in some way to like more productively use your time, because it's not like DJing is something that doesn't have skill to it or doesn't have a thing you can learn. You could take it in and out of VR. Same thing with VJing and all the other stuff that people will teach you what they know. Some people may not tell you, but maybe a lot more professional with it. And everyone here, so like, here's how you do the thing, and it's a good productive hobby. Like, either you learn things from it as well. Like, even for hosting or running clubs, it does have the real life counterpart skill to it. So it's not like it's wasted by doing it either. It'll take you places.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it will. Yeah. It's. I mean, I can only really say from the club scene, right? I don't really go outside.
It's okay.
Yeah, your boy got pipelined really hard. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, maybe it will. I know people that have started DJing in here have gone on to do things IRL. They've gone on to music production, or maybe they already were in production, but the club scene here has given them the outlet and the platform in order to really take it to the next level. Live streamers and VTubers and everything that can go on in here. You never know where it's going to take you.
Funny thing is, I think a lot of people, they come into VRChat and it's like, I'm gonna have fun. I want to see the Ugandan knuckles, and now I have a hobby that sucks up all my time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, it does take up a lot of time.
Mm.
But it it's not wasted time if it's fun, right? If you're enjoying it, sorry, if you're
Oh
having a
yeah.
good time, and like you say, if you're learning skills. I'd never DJ'd before I'd got in here, right? I never. Well, I had a set of turntables and a mixer when I was like 15.
Mm.
And they never worked, so they just sat on my bedside and just got dusty, and it was such a shame. Now I think about it.
Mm.
And I used to play. I used to be on Habbo Hotel a lot when I was young, and they used to have like Habbo radio stations, right, where they do giveaways and they play music and do these events. It was, maybe a precursor to what we do in here. But I remember thinking like, wow, wouldn't it be so cool? I'd be a Habbo Hotel radio DJ. It would never happened, right? So, um, yeah.
Cool.
So the precursors were there. Yeah, but I never DJ'd before I got in here.
Mm.
I never really thought I would be to the level that I am, and I found a platform and I really enjoy it. Yeah, it takes a lot of time, but who knows?
Mm. I had no idea Habbo Hotel had that much stuff going on. Like my sister growing up played it, and boy did she play it a lot. I had no idea it was that in depth, to be honest. Outside a bunch of people standing around a pool going "My Baba" or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Pool's closed, right? Pool's. Yeah,
I'm glad you picked up on that reference. I remember when that happened. My sister was
Of
playing.
course.
It was the funniest thing. Like, why can't I leave the pool? I want to go do something else. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was great. Have a hotel's own Ugandan knuckles.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I had no idea those radio
yeah,
DJs was a
go.
thing. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was like a separate website, and it had this audio stream on, and you could listen in. And they'd be like, right, okay, we're gonna do a Fernie giveaway at X time in X room, and you come along and you can roll a dice. It was kind of like one of those things.
Mm.
And they play music, and you'd hang out, and you'd meet people through listening to the radio. Yeah, and I remember, I think I might have put an application in. I mean, I was like 12 or 13, right? I was never taken seriously. But yeah, apparently it had that stuff going on. I don't know if there was much else, but it was definitely like the thing that I would do.
Mm. After hearing from a lot of you DJs, I'm quite impressed by the amount of shows you guys do too. Like some of my friends who are people who are now my friends, and like every night they're doing like 1 to 7 shows or more, just one after the other, after the other, after the other, and I'm impressed by like the VRChat rave scene's dedication to their hobby, whether you're hosting or DJing. It's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, DJs get around, I mean, we're suckers for open decks, we're suckers for slots. Don't book me, by the way. It's for me, it's a catch-22, right? I've done the big heavy weekends where you've got all these slots and you have to hop around. Just Party does 2 nights a week, so every Wednesday, every Friday, we run this little thing. But that means I can't hang out with friends. That means I can't be on the other side of the decks. I can't listen to other people's music, which for me is a big part of it.
Mm.
So yeah, but you see these DJs and they're taking like 4 or 5 slots a weekend. Props to them. Props.
Oh, still, like not just like the DJs, but the like people like hosts like yourself, and the amount of organization that go into this, and the amount of time people are willing to put into it. Like it's a hobby that everyone enjoys, and it is very rewarding in the sense where you're facilitating something that other people are enjoying that's making their weekend, and it's impressive for a hobby like DJing and running a club that people like yourself puts that much energy into.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Um, uh, I mean, Just Party is very low maintenance, which is nice. One of the nice things about it is we just book a couple DJs a week. We show up and that's it. But yeah, you've got the other side of it where, like you say, some of these clubs we've got like 6, 7 people needed to run an event, right? Whether it's the photographer or the host or the in-house VJs, right? Someone's doing the visuals and the lighting. And I think even in the time that I've been doing it, like the past 18 months, how far some of these clubs have gone, to put on really nice, really well together put experiences.
Mm.
And it's awesome. It's so good to see. But yeah, it's a labor of love, you know.
Mm.
It really is.
You could definitely see in the energy of a lot of the events that go on here, the amount of love going into it. Like when I first started
Mm-hmm.
seeing this stuff last year, it blew my mind. It's like, whoa, look, cool. There's a weird, cool visual on the screen. There's a dude playing music live. How many people have staff in their name now? There's like 12 of them. Like I was like a kid in a candy store, like I said, like,
Yeah.
whoa, look at all this stuff. People are putting this much energy. I just had no idea initially, and even now, it's been like about a year now since I've kind of been more into this like events and stuff. It still surprises the piss out of me.
Yeah. Are you having a good time?
Oh, most definitely. I enjoy. I'm not one to do parties and stuff that often. Like you don't catch me at bars in real life. It's just for me. It's like
Right.
I'm gonna use the bars as a prime example. The energy in the room in a bar for me isn't a kind of place where you'd go in and you can feel people are drowning their demons. It's not the kind of place that I like attending,
Mm.
but the VR chat club scene doesn't feel like that to me at all. It's like you feel the love and the energy and the friendliness. It's just deep down inside, I'm still that little introvert. It's like, cool, look, great. Oh, there's people.
Yeah. It's it's for sure the closest to plur that I've gotten. If you know that the old rave term, which is like peace, love, unity, respect, right?
Yep.
And no one needs to say that it is, right? It's just we've made this a safe space for people.
Mm.
And if you go against that, you're not going to stick around very long, I don't think.
No.
You know, hosts are there for a reason. I've had to kick people out a couple of times. It's like, I'm sorry. I don't like doing it, but
Mm.
a big part of this is how inclusive and how much of a safe space it is. It doesn't matter who you are, as
Mm.
long as you're having fun.
You can definitely see that in the community as well. Like I'm gonna use VRchat Club Twitter as an example. Like when we're gonna have the VRchat economy coming up, and when those started being releasing, you could see people's hard stances on this should be fun, not for money, and like a super massive portion of the VRchat club scene had that mentality. Like I don't want to have this be a job. It's supposed to be for fun, and you could see that in your statement and even how they act.
Yeah, uh, it's a slippery slope. There's people in this scene that do really hard work, and I'm sure there's club owners and there's people in the scene that would want to give back to the people that are putting in the effort because they deserve it, right? But saying that, if say a club would start to charge entry or something like that, have a Patreon for VIPs and stuff like that, you're gonna get rid of the accessibility of this thing, right? It doesn't matter if you've got a headset, if you've got full body, if you've got a PC and you want to join on desktop, that's fine. If you've got an internet connection and you can run VR chat, come hang out. If money gets involved and you start to pay staff, you're gonna have to get that money from somewhere. Um, I don't know what that would look like, but the worst case in that scenario is that cost is passed down to the people that go to these clubs, and you're instantly making it exclusive. it would change the scene, you know, it really would. And all of a sudden, maybe you haven't got people that are doing this for the fun and the passion of it. Maybe you are. All of a sudden, you're going to attract the type of people that think, oh, maybe I can make a thing of this, and maybe it can give me a paycheck. And again, that's hard. Sorry, I'm sort of going back and forth, but again, that's hard
don't
because
apologize.
This,
You're entitled to think what you think.
Thank you. There's so many people in here that if you gave them the choice of doing this full time, and maybe making a living from it, they would take it in a heartbeat. I know I would. I would be in here all the time. I would, you know, and really see how far we can push it.
Maybe to some degree, I can definitely see and understand your statements there on the whole. It can't ruin it, but also maybe that's also what's preventing the scene from getting any bigger, because let's be honest, some of the giant festivals that Vrchat has proven it can run with, like Slyfest, maybe they're not as viable because there's not that incentive to bring in that kind of money in. Without that, because like for example, if you want to get ad sponsors and stuff to be able to like host that multi-thousand person VR event or something, they make it possible. Because let's be honest, VRchat servers, I don't think could handle an event like that, and in order to run stuff like that, the servers cost money. So in the same point, if it's a catch-22 of, at this point in time in VRchat's life, we as players should ask, do you want this to remain a niche, where we can enjoy it, where we can create as we will, or do we want to see our niche get bigger? Because as it get bigger, there's more things you could do. We're capable of creating more through it, but in order to do that, it does cost money. So at that point, I can see both sides of the argument personally.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same, right? And I've sort of gone with the philosophy of, okay, I'm on the train. I'm not exactly where, I don't know exactly where it's going to stop or where it's going to go. I'm on the train. I can get off at any time. But I'd like to see where it's going to go.
Although I will say, even in VRChat's current state, through a lot of the conversations we had in Metaverse Degen, it does seem we're starting to catch eyes of people who are in good places. I don't want to say big best places, but the best. No, it's like there are people like promoters in the real life club scene. Other real life clubs are starting to come in here. There are festivals and furry conventions, and people are starting to notice VRchat. It's more than just that funny thing with the red Ugandan knuckles. It's because, for example, we were talking with Tunity from the Fishbowl, for example, and how he now like he shared a story of this where he took his community and filled a real life venue with his people, and they're like, "Holy crap, you could do that there!" And VRchat is starting to turn heads.
Yeah. Cassadell Fishbowl. I'm hoping to be there this year. I'm gonna go. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does feel like it, like in what I said, even in the past year, things have started to feel a little bit crazy, and the production value is going up. You've had big artists getting involved, like Surreal the other night, and you've got like artists like Zardonic, and yeah, we are at a little bit of an impasse, maybe. But I don't know what that's gonna mean. I just don't know. I wish I had some wise insight and all this information to share with you. I don't.
None of us do. Well, one of the big things about life is no one knows what the fuck is going on. Everyone's figuring it out at the same time.
This is true.
And there's a reason why people feel like sometimes life kicks them in the teeth, because they don't. You can't see where things go. Sometimes it just kind of, ta-da! Guess what? VRChat's now a big name. It just sometimes life's like that. Sometimes you're just a part of the ride in the car being dragged by your feet as it goes a bajillion miles an hour down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I'm I'm as open as I can be
Mm.
in real life, right? When I go to work, I've gone from being the weird rave guy at school to being the weird VR guy at work. Um, and and you know, it might fall on 100 years where it just goes and flies. Um, but you get that one person, right? I had it a couple times, and you say like, yeah, I do this thing on the weekends and on my evenings and stuff, and you see their eyes, and they're like, what? That people do, and like, yeah, all the time, all like 24/7. And you know, they all of a sudden they're pulling out their phone, like, um,
How much does it cost to
I
get
had
in
a,
this
I had
thing?
a,
PCs, what?
yeah. I had a, I had an electrician come around my house, and obviously I've got everything, out on the desk and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you DJ?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do a little bit." And he was like, "Do you play for clubs?" And I'm like, Kinda, yeah, I do these things." And I showed him a video, and he was like, "This is really fucking cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And I was like, "Do you want to give it a go?" And he was like, I'm gonna be on my lunch in like 30 minutes." And I was like, "Cool, I'll set everything up." And I was like, "Okay, put this on your head, put the."
Oh,
And that, you know, you do occasionally you get these people, and they just get it, and they're just like, yes, I would like to give this a go. And I think that's going to become more and more common as it
mm.
reaches out. I mean, the dude had like Yu-Gi-Oh tattoos all over his arm and stuff like that, so I was like, oh yeah, this guy will get it.
Although to be fair, like VRChat and the metaverse kind of attracts a certain type of person. They're a gamer. Most likely, they know what anime is. If not, they're in love with it. They're usually the best say like at least half have played D&D before. Like a certain type of person is attracted to here. And I think with a
Hmm.
combination of like VR, the culture of all of that is getting more popular. Like D&D lately
Yeah.
with Baldur's Gate, then there's anime starting to leak out a whole lot more, become more common. VR chat itself as like a niche and a culture is starting to spread out, especially with YouTube videos. And
Hmm.
you got streamers from all sorts, like Rafflegator doing variety content, and someone may not know VR chat exists when they tune in, and all of a sudden they're doing some sort of live improv show. It's like, well, that's cool. I want to do it. And it's starting to leak
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. I mean, nerd culture has been on the up for a while.
Mm.
Like you say, anime and gaming as a whole, right? I mean, as a gamer back like with my little PS1 when I was a kid, and it wasn't really a big thing, right? It was just starting to take off, and now like everyone and their girlfriend has a PS5, you know? It's
Mm.
just standard in the household. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and with Apple and the Vision, is it the Vision Pro? Apple, yeah.
Yeah.
You got like Meta bringing out the Quest 3. As these headsets become more accessible and cheaper, and you know, and comfier to use, and maybe the battery life gets better as things improve, it's just gonna tempt more and more people into buying them.
Mm.
I just know like there's a lot of older people, like family, like parents and stuff at where I work, and everyone's kid wants a Quest 3 for Christmas, right? All of them. To the point where people were coming up to me and were like, "Hey, my kid wants a headset for Christmas. What should I get them?" And I was like, "Okay, you buy them a second-hand Quest 2. If they if they use it for 2 weeks and drop it, you're good. You can sell that thing again." uh,
Yeah. I VR does have a huge tag to it. And I see that being a big factor, but at least as you said, with like Apple and Meta and then Vive created the XR Elite, then you got Steam and
mhm.
Valve starting to create their own versions of more accessible headsets. I'd say maybe 5, 10 years from now it'd be like commonplace like the PS5 having a headset.
Yeah, I think you might be right on the money with that one. 5, 10 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just want, I don't know. Lighter headsets would be nice. I'm in an index right now. This thing is heavy. Um,
I have the exact
you
same 20
you
pound
got
potato right on my face.
yeah, 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 yeah. Um,
Oh,
I think, not maybe with consoles. I think because consoles you kind of get the standard, you get the PS5, you get the Xbox, whatever it is. Headsets, or maybe not headsets, but VR, I think is always going to be sort of along that PC line where, okay, you want to play Terraria and Minecraft, okay, and Fortnite, okay, we can give you this and you'll be fine. You want to run the latest games on 4K with OLEDs, like, okay, you need this now. Accessibility is great, and it's going to be great for the scene. I think there's always going to be this niche enthusiast grade when it comes to VR, like woojers and face tracking, eye tracking,
mm,
full body, to an extent.
yeah.
Um, so both is good, please. Both.
Well, let's just be honest. Being in VR chat for 3 years now, I don't know, lengthy period
Okay.
of time. I forgot exactly, but it's been at least over 3 years, maybe between 3 and 4. I've noticed VR chat and most social VR platforms, you'll start with on PC or a phone or maybe a Quest, and the next thing you know, you're
Mm-hmm.
spending multiple $1,000s on a gaming PC, full body, a new VR headset. There's face tracking. I can attach to the XR Elite. I'm gonna buy that headset and stick on the face
Yeah.
tracking thing, and I'm gonna get myself haptic suits. And over time, it kind of becomes an expensive hobby in a sense, kind of like getting into VR drones and stuff or drone piloting. It's
Yeah.
cool. I want to get myself a little cheap thing in Walmart. Okay, now I'm building my own. I have a 3D printer. I'm building circuit boards now. I have this really thin VR headset. VR kind of has that tag to it, and over time, as things get cheaper, I think you'll see more of it. And I think it just needs more users and have a better buy-in than, well, my expensive jet turbine that's over in the corner of the room right now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, these games cost me so much money. Oh, um, yeah, it just needs an easy in. It just like I think I got lucky. My CV1 was a second hand. I just was like, oh, I want to play some Beat Saber, and I think a friend of mine, because I'd heard of VR and kind of was like interested in it, but I was like, okay, well maybe when I have like some money lying around and something excites me. And I had a party at my old house. A couple of friends came over, and he brought his Quest. I'm not sure which one it was. Played some Beat Saber and some stuff, and I was like, okay, I have to have one of these now. Like, it's. I think it's one of those. I mean, maybe drone piloting is the same. Is once you give it a go, and if it's your thing, and you just get real hooked, and it's it's enticing. It's exciting. It's one of those
Mhm.
things where you have to try it to understand it, and if you do understand it, it's game on. You're gonna go.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd say once people get into it, it's like VR chat and VR. It's almost immediately they're like, I want a better thing. Like a friend of mine I met in VR, he was on a Quest, and we were hanging out, and then all of a sudden he's like, I want an index, I want full body. He buys a more expensive
Hmm.
PC. It's like maybe less than a year, and he's already spending $3,000 to $5,000 on this intense rig and all the stuff, and now he's doing
Hmm.
TikTok content and all this other stuff. It's like a very quick pipeline. You just kind of step on and whoop, there you go. There goes a little VR chat user now. What are they gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope it's not
Yeah.
ERP.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta be careful what you eat.
Definitely. There's a very specific
Oh.
pipeline in VR chat. I much hope they get into creating things, not expelling things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, please be a creative. Yeah. No. um, you do. It's great. I kind of say it as a joke because sometimes you get new users or even visitors in these clubs, and um, I'm one of those because I'm dumb and stupid. I'll just go up to people and be like, hey, welcome to VR chat. Like, how you do?
Yeah.
Maybe not. When are you gonna get it? Full body. When you're gonna get a DJ controller? Like, you wanna book in? You want somewhere to? I probably don't. I probably don't help people that often. But
Well,
yeah, it's go.
even if you're not helping them per se, like I remember back in my first days in VRChat, the trusted user base was kind of intimidating in a sense because can I trust them? Are they friendly? Can I approach them and ask them questions? Those kinds of things. And having people like you just kind of run up and go, guess what? All these things. You should go check out this cool thing. Here's a VRChat controller. Do you know what this club is? You should go in the portal. It kind of alleviates
Yeah.
that weird nature of like, it becomes less intimidating because once you meet, once you get into one thing, like most things in life naturally go, it just rolls downhill. It's like I saw one trusted user in there. Okay, let's go talk to more. I've been to one VRChat club.
Yeah.
Let's go see another. That kind of thing.
Yeah. It's I love it. And I have a few friends that do it too. You know, you get like someone that's fairly new, especially to the club scene, and they're not quite sure what's going on. It's like, hey, yeah, there's the live DJ. They're playing music right now. Oh, you don't have your safety settings set up. Okay, let me help you. Like, let's deal with that. And like, oh, do you know this happens all the time? And you should join the party hub and check these Twitters. And you know, this is a whole thing. And if you like it, then you can go for it. Like, go have fun. Go see where it takes you, because this thing is great. And yeah, it's fun. It's from the perspective that I am now. Like, I've spent maybe not a huge amount of time from compared to some people's experience, but even in the time that I've been here, how much has changed, how many people I know in here, and I try and give out to new people the experience that maybe I wish I'd gotten. Because yeah, I was a little half body in the corner, like dancing away, and every so often someone would come up and talk to me, like, "Hey, dude, how you been?" And like, I still remember some of those conversations, and I'm still speaking to some of those people. So yeah, I think everyone needs that, and everyone deserves that. So let's give it as much as we can.
VRChat needs more people like you, and amongst its ranks. Because let's be honest, most first time users experiences the black hat, screaming funny 5-letter words, hearing people insult them for being a new user or a questie, and everyone's like very hesitant to talk to you. Kind of like remnants from like the crazy days before EAC when you'd have like crashers and stuff enter lobbies, and I think a lot of hesitancy from that era is still leaking over now. But having people like you giving people a lot better first time experience, I think is an amazing thing. VRChat needs more of that, where some like a new half body can come in and have loads of fun in a rave or seeing cool worlds, and instead of having to worry about how many new funny 5-letter words am I going to learn today in a black cat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I talk about this in real life, I'm always like, hey, if you ever do try it, just let me know and I can come show you around, because if you're on your own and you try this thing out, it's not going to be a good time. You're not going to have fun. You're going to come out of it and think, what the fuck was that? Because I was there. People, I mean, from the club scene, most, if not all people in there are very welcoming, especially like the organizers and the hosts. If you find yourself in one of these clubs and you're new, or maybe you're just curious, go start talking to, find out who's running the thing. Go and say hi, introduce yourself, and you'll find that the vast majority are welcoming and will show you around and make sure you have a good time.
I think the best
I hope
gauge
so.
is
Better had.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the best gauge to where to go is like, where are your friends going? Because generally, if your friends go to a place and they find it cool, most likely you won't find yourself on the wrong side. Let's be honest. Even VRChat's club scene has their dark sides. Every community and group does. But at least if like with people like people like you going out doing your thing and meeting people and all that other stuff gives people a better buy-in of, oh, I should go here because it's so friendly. I see this guy somewhere. I want to go see just party just to see what it's like. At least that way people can find themselves in better places and generally have fun.
Yeah. Community is really important to me. And I think you know you can be putting on the craziest thing ever, right? Insane DJs, an amazing world, great. That's awesome. But for me, it's more a community of people that are more important, you know, um, and that's what I want to build. That's what I want to help grow. This mindset, this community of people that maybe share similar interests, and maybe they meet new people and go on to do awesome shit. Um, and I forgot what I was gonna say.
Don't worry about it. I do all the time. Happens to me so frequently in the podcast. It's like, cool, lots of thought, lots of questions, and then the crowd rushes through the doorway. It's like, what was I talking about? I had something.
Yeah.
42. No, that's not what I was thinking.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I want, you know, people to stick around, you know, and if you're cool, like, I'm gonna pest you, you know, I'm gonna eventually, if we're talking, I'm gonna annoy the shit out of you because I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, you should do this and you should do that. But yeah, when are you gonna start DJing, by the way? Do you want a slot?
I don't have any ability to DJ. My PC running what I do now gets very sad very quickly.
Okay. I'll give you a year and come back, okay?
Well, fun fact, I'm looking to upgrade my PC after I get some things paid off and dealt with, and at that point, I'll look into it. But right now, I'm trying to like run Metaverse Degen, try and facilitate things. Because fun fact, one thing I'm trying to do in Metaverse Degen's Discord server is facilitate workshops for people to learn things like DJing and other stuff. I kind of started that. We have a bunch of people that are interested. Like a friend of mine is going to start running Blender and Unity stuff. In there, we got people who are thinking about running dance lessons. I started including Studio Penrose's workshops, like promoting them in there. Those are the kinds of things I'm working on right now. I don't think I have enough time to like do a bajillion VR chat clubs on top of what I'm doing.
No,
my brain would rot immediately. I would melt.
I get it.
Oh, not that I'm not interested.
What you?
But
oh.
I don't think I have enough brain cells.
Well, what you're doing, that sort of stuff it's great. Like the cross-pollination between communities, like the dance community get involved with the club community, right? You've got a whole Discord server just full of VJs that just share stuff and share cool shit. That's what it should be about, right? Let's all work together just to make this awesome thing. But it's happening again.
What's happening again? It's okay. Breathe.
I keep forgetting the point I want to make.
Oh, take your time. But don't worry about it. I'm not gonna judge you. I do the same thing all the fucking time. I'll be like mid conversation and then lots of crickets and nothing. It's like I was excited a second ago. Where did it all go? I had like 20 questions and now all I remember is 42.
But yeah, content is I think content creators are doing an awesome job. As like this long form deep dive, showing people what VRchat is actually about, rather than the Ugandan knuckles and the black cat. This short form shock content maybe. Because I think I said to you before we started, like I'm always at work and I'm like, damn, I wish, you know, you have the thought like I could be in VRchat right now, and then you're like, oh, I wish I had something to watch on VRchat, and then you're just like, oh, I've already burned through everything in my watch later. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll just listen to music. So yeah, podcasts and content creation in general, like we need it. More of this.
Yeah, I think VRchat. Well, at least two things. One, I think VRchat does need more adult style content other than you got the knuckles, and then the funny girl voice trolling stuff. But also, VRchat itself has been growing up. Like in this last year, for example, we went from funny meme avatars a couple of years ago to now like people running clubs and communities and DJing and running events and teaching people how to do different languages and how to do filmography. And
Yeah.
you could see the VR chat getting older in a sense, and not just that funny meme program anymore.
Yeah, yes, and some of these communities have been around a while. Like the club scene has been, I think, like 5-ish years. But like you've got, like you said, like the sign language community, I think, has been around a while. People just created a controller-friendly sign language, so or mutes or people that are hard of hearing can communicate in here, which is awesome.
Mm.
And yeah, just um, it's a lot more. There's a lot less chaos. You know,
Mm.
it's like, okay, we've kind of had our fun. We've figured out what this is. Now let's make something out of it, right? Let's see what we can make.
Mm. If I was to use VRChat's ranking system, we're no longer a new user. We're probably just that green user level status now. We're not
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
trusted yet,
yeah, yeah.
but we're getting there. We're no longer
No.
running around a Meve avatar, showing off nudity or whatever funny Uganda Knuckles
Mhm.
avatars, going to worlds. Now we're exploring worlds a little bit, figuring out DJing is a thing, and picking up a controller, finding out there's a place you can learn Japanese or sign language. I think we're at that level,
Yeah.
like within VRChat's own ranking system. We're about a user.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I would agree. That makes me excited though. You know,
Mm.
once we're going up those ranks, what it's gonna look like.
I'd say by the time VRChat, I would consider a VRChat trusted user. It's gonna be a wild place in here. I'll tell you what.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
I almost guarantee you,
But
by
yeah.
the time I would consider VRChat a trusted user, it would probably be of level of like social platforms. I'd say it'd be up there with like Facebook and Twitter as like a place you'd go to socialize.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, maybe. I mean, I think if you spend a lot of time in here already, it's already become that like third space. If you've heard of that term, it's
Mm.
like it's not work, it's not home, it's some place you go. You don't have to do anything there, like a coffee
Mm.
shop or maybe a bar. And yeah, it's this third space where you can just go hang out and meet new people. And maybe, like you say, with it being trusted rank, that everyone might be on. Well, no, a huge amount of people might be on here. You
Mm.
know, this might just be, for better or for worse, it might become a social norm, right? You're just like, oh, I live 2 hours away from this friend, and we can't see each other for 3 months, but we can hang out in here whenever we want.
Mm.
Um, you know, um,
I do
like watching
see,
TV, like
yeah.
go.
I do see VRChat as a better alternative to Facebook or Twitter. No offense, Zuck or Elon, but I'd much rather see a person's fake eyeballs and look at a text box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so much more to it. If we're comparing it to a social platform, right? I can see the way you hold your body and your body language, and
Mm.
we're looking at each other. I know it's not
Yeah.
quite the same as in real life, but it's far from yeah, like oh my god. It's far from it's far from a screen where you're just seeing some text, right? It's a real person on the other side, which is a whole
Mm.
different argument. And there's no ads in here, right? It's
Well,
entertainment. Like,
there sort
go.
of is ads, but they're more in worlds like as like pictures and stuff, and it's not like, guess what? Your video's
Yeah.
interrupted to hear about Raid Shadow Legends. Whoa. Oh, I broke that. Huh. Eh, it'll buff. If you're enjoying this, please, I would heavily suggest to follow us on any of our social media. If you go down in the thingamabob, down that way, we have a card, metaversedegen.card.co, with all our social media. Feel free to come follow us at any of those places. We've got Discord, we hang out there all the time. Feel free to come chat. Also, we have a Patreon with 2 people who joined up now, and I'm going to give them a little bit of a shout out.
one of which is Training Fangs, who's a really good friend of ours, and Forbidden Zero, and also a good friend. So please come follow us, come hang out. Oh, that's my cue to go. Enjoy the video.
Again, instead
Yeah.
it's a picture on the wall and it kind of looks like it belongs there, and it's placed very particularly on purpose so that it doesn't feel like, guess what, ad, instead of
Yeah.
But there is ads here though.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, if you go, well, maybe if you went to movie world and stuff like that, and so even some clubs now have ads. But you've got a point. They're not interrupting anything I'm doing. You know, I'm not really interested in a DJ set or really interested in learning a language, like you say, and all of a sudden, oh, boom, we're gonna stop everything you do, because we want you to watch this advert, right? Raid Shadow Legends or like some NordVPN. It's something that I don't really care about. And it's an escape from what the internet as a whole has become, which is just this corporate hellscape of advertisements and clickbait, rage content.
It doesn't feel like I'm hitting a browser or scrolling a social media platform. At least here, it's more akin to being at a bar with friends and less like, guess what? Advertisement. Guess what? Cool new community. Guess what? More pictures. Guess what? Nudity from somebody. It's not, well,
Yeah.
it's all there, but it feels more like you're at a bar seeing it, like someone just jumps on the table and guess what? Instead of just like, guess what now? We're going to interrupt everything you have for this thing.
Yeah. As the bartender stops pouring drinks and just, it's...
Listen, sir, I know you really want a Bud Light, but have you heard about Raid Shadow Legends?
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Like, I don't understand why people put up with it. It drives me insane. Like, I don't know if this might be a good take, but I don't feel like a product in here, right? You go onto TikTok or Twitter, well, X, you know, any big website these days, and you are in a sense being held there and advertised to, and you're like, okay, and you come out of it feeling like, wow, I just got sold.
Well, with things like
stuff.
Twitter and Facebook, anything that's free isn't free. Anytime you invest time into a free product, you are the product because it's free. Because servers aren't free, the internet isn't free, the staff who creates the product isn't free. Payment for those things has to go somewhere, and your data and who you are and your time is the product. That's why a lot of the times, if you wish to not have that experience, you may have to go to the more particular pricey, ritzy places where you have to pay a nominal fee to be there, but at least then you're not the product anymore. But if you're on like Twitter, I could see why with the new subscription system, how Elon may be trying to lead out of the whole, guess what, you're the product now. But Facebook's totally like that.
YouTube has become terrible in the past couple of years. It's now that premium and that is a big thing and it seems quite popular. It's expensive, but if you don't have premium, YouTube is not a fun time. The amount of ads is crazy. And yeah, like you say, in here, you don't feel that. It's a lot, like you say, it's a lot more like a bar, like a third space, like a hangout.
Which is why, like, fun fact, once I've come into VRChat, I stopped using a lot of those services. I keep YouTube Premium because I use YouTube all the time. Who knew? Who would have guessed? Other than that, I don't have Netflix. I don't use Hulu. I don't use Prime. I don't use any of those other weird services. They all kind of just die out because I come in here. I socialize with people. I have fun. This is more fun to me than watching a brain dead amount of Netflix.
Who would have thought, right? Social creatures want to go and be social. Crazy, insane. The problem, the other side of that is you sort of fall off in a sense. Like I go to work and everyone's like, "Hey, do you see the game? Do you see this new show? Do you see see what happened on TV last night?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. No, I don't own a TV." Like,
Yeah.
you sort of lose touch a little bit, for better or for worse. Or that's my experience anyway.
No, I could definitely see that. It's just for me personally, I don't think sitting in front of a TV wasting a lot of time. Like, I get to watch episode 42 of Game of Thrones or Star Wars thing. It's Am I gaining anything from it? No, not really. At least here in VRchat, I get to meet a really cool DJ named Soxxalotl, and I get to learn about a whole bunch of cool
Yeah.
stuff. Or I get to go to a class about learning sign language or learning Japanese or learning how to do VR films and stuff. At least here, there's some
Yeah.
level of thing you're gaining from it. Other than, guess what? That's an entire day of binge watching. You've lost. It's gone. Ta-da! You're now a really big. You're now a really big fan of a specific character. What else?
Yeah, yeah. It has a really good way of making things so accessible. You know, like the painting worlds. I look, you know, I took art when I was young, and I painted a bunch. I did a Bob Ross once, and like it just life gets in the way, and you get a full-time job. But like in here, I could go to a painting world and just crack on. You know, no mess, no nothing. I'm not saying that those are going to replace doing it in real life, because it's not. But you know, sometimes you just get the feeling where it's like, oh, I wish I could do something right now. Oh, I can just go and, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, a lot more fulfilling than episode 42 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no offense to Game of Thrones or Netflix or you guys, but you guys on the whole like streaming services kind of feel like a waste of time because I don't get anything from it other than I now know a lot about Game of Thrones or Star Wars or whatever. What else do I gain from it? Not much.
I never watched Game of Thrones.
I got no farther than like season 1. After that, I got really bored of it. It's like, cool. It's like every other fantasy show. Woo.
Whoa. Yeah. And like the things that you do enjoy doing, maybe like video games, or like maybe you are into watching a certain show, and that's fine, you know, it's content, that's fine. But maybe in here you meet cool people that are also into that, and all of a sudden you're playing Power World with, you know, 5 people that you've just, you know, you met on VRchat, and you're in a Discord call, and it sort of spreads outward. You know, you make these connections, and you can do things as a group instead of just, you know, like potatoing on the couch and sticking the TV on. Because it adds that social experience back to it, right? All of a sudden, you know, watching TV at home alone, or maybe you are alone, but everyone's just kind of like half paying attention, and everyone's like scrolling at the same time. All of a sudden, you're in this cool world, and you're cozy, and your friends are around you, and you're all watching the same show at the same time. A lot nicer.
Yeah. VRchat's a lot nicer like that, or at least VR anyway. I much prefer the VR experience with things than watching TV, because watching TV just feels like a time killer. Although so is VR, but at least with VR, as you said, you gain things like friends, connections. You can learn stuff here from other people while doing all of that at the same time. You can go painting. Lots of things you can't do here that's not just episode 42 of insert show here.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, you do. I've made some great friends in here. Absolutely awesome people. Like I say, people that I've met in real life, and people that are out there doing wild stuff, like really fun stuff, and you get to be part of that. And all of a sudden, because where I grew up, and to be honest, where I live, there's a lot of people that stayed in that town and will stay in that town, and they will never leave that town. And you're around these people your whole life, and that's a bubble. And then all of a sudden, I go into VR chat, and wow, I'm chatting to people from Germany and from Belgium and from France and North America, right? And you have this like such a wide circle, and such a bigger perspective on everything that's going on. And yeah, it does. It opens your mind a lot, you know. I hope I don't offend you, but like, I was in the camp where I thought furries were a bit odd, you know. I was a normie, and then I'm like, go.
I'm not offended. I'm the hardest person to offend in the entire world. I grew up. Some of my better friends in school growing up were 4chaners who had spent time going, guess what, little lion? I found this thing. What do you think of this? Insert new scar tally here. That's been my childhood. You can't upset me.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm sorry for still.
Don't
but,
apologize for anything. I'm not offended by anything. You be you. I understand. It's
No.
weird. It's a weird community, and I will be the first to admit that it is a really weird community at times. And I do understand and respect
but
that.
but it's awesome, you know. Some furry avatars are some of the most creative and out there avatars that I've seen. Some of them are amazing. Huge talent. And you guys have an awesome community, like virality and stuff like that, and on the furry festivals that have been going on. Never knew or barely knew that what was going on, right? And I'm like, now I have friends that are going to them. I'm like, oh, you going to that con? Fuck yeah, dude, go have a good time. And it's weird being on the other side of the coin because, like, look at my avatar, right? And I'm on the other side of the coin where people in real life are like, oh, that's how you present yourself in real life, and I'm like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. What are you doing?
Well, I've always like in most of those how people present themselves, whether a furry or an axolotl, half human. I think as long as you're not harming people or force feeding people things like, guess what, I'm a thing and you have to enjoy the thing too. I don't like that stuff. Like, if people like, if you don't like furries, like, let people not like furries. It's okay. If you don't like this other thing, let them not like the other thing. It's not going to hurt you. You'll probably never see the person again after they leave. They're going to go say something and annoy you. You'll both part ways, and then you'll never see them again because the world is a lot bigger than you think it is. And you'll probably it's the person you meet in the bus will be the last time you probably ever see that person on the bus. Very likely.
Yeah. So get crazy with it. Go wild.
I like leaving people with confusion more so than like, you gotta like me. Like decades ago. Wow, that's a statement I don't like saying. Decades ago, I used to take the bus to work everywhere. And one thing I enjoy doing sometimes, and I still do it now to people in VR, is I'll just wave at them and they'll wave back. And I'll just keep on waving to see how long until they get confused. Like, why isn't he stopping? It's been 20 minutes and he's been waving at me non-stop. And I'll just keep on doing it. Just keep on waving until they stop or they get annoyed.
Yeah, I love that. I love this chaos.
Well, it's much better than force feed them something. It's just cool. They get to go back home and tell whomever, there's this weird dude in the bus who waved at me for 30 minutes. I don't know what the fuck that's about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I get what you mean. I mean, I've got to admit, like, I'm guilty of that, right? When I first started doing this and how excited I was about it, right? You did. I went for a phase where I was like, look at this thing, it's fucking awesome. Like, buy a headset, you know, which probably wasn't the best idea, but I've sort of resorted to the drip feed effect, right? That's how. So it's like, oh, what'd you get up to on the weekend? And I'm like, oh, you know, I just hung out. Or like if people ask what I do as a hobby, like, oh, I DJ a little bit, and they're like, oh, okay. And then if the question comes, if they ask a question after that, you know they're kind of interested. Usually I get to like, oh, I do it over the internet, right? I DJ over the internet, and they're like, oh, cool. And I'm like, okay, there's the line. There's the line, right?
I definitely understand that. I definitely, when I said earlier, like the force fitting of things, I mean, like, I'm offended you don't like the thing. Guess what? You have to like the thing now. That whole like really aggressive, I'm a thing, so you must like the thing now. I'm not a fan of that kind of thing. It's like, it feels
Yeah.
very preachy to me, and I don't think like forcing people to like a thing isn't going to make the thing any better.
Mm. No. With most things in life, you have to sort of. If you really want someone to try something out, you have to make it their idea, right? You have to be tricky about it, right?
Mm.
Like an example that comes to mind for me, right? I met this guy and he was like, yeah, I read some books and I do some audiobooks every so often. I'm like, oh, and I was like, do you take recommendations? Because I was like, I've read a book and I think you'd really like it, but I don't want to just tell you, hey, you should read this, because
Mm.
brain turn off, right? You just be like, hey, do you take recommendations? And then like they're like, do I? You know? And then they're like, yeah. What have you got in mind? And then I'm like, yeah, you should read. I've read this book. It's really good. And he went off and read it. Right? If you make it their idea,
Yeah.
you
Mm.
it's a lot more successful a lot of the time.
Mm. And at least that way, if like they're receptive to the idea of like reading the book, at least they may enjoy it more than, guess what? I listened to someone preach at me that this thing is what I should know. I don't want to be anything to do with this thing anymore because I listened to a person yell at me for 30 minutes. You get the opposite effect. And at least
Yeah.
that way, people are more apt to enjoy the thing a little more. And at least you leave a bit of a mark with that person that way.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
They're less likely to hate you.
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Mm.
You know. But then every so often you'll find someone that's like, there's a guy at work, and then he always asks me like, "Hey, dude, how was your weekend?" And like, "What'd you get up to?" Because he knows everything that I do in here. And I'm like, I apologized to him at one point. I was like, "I'm sorry, dude, because like this is all I really want to talk about, and you're my only outlet." And he was like, "Honestly, I just enjoyed like the passion you have behind it. Like,
Mm.
I find it really enjoying. So like me and him just bounce off each other. Those people are really cool. Those."
I agree. There's a few people at work who are the same story. Like they're like one of like two people who are interested. Like, oh, what did you do? What about this Metaverse Degen thing? Who did you talk to recently? And it's nice to have that one or two people who like may not get it, but still are interested in listening about it. So I could definitely understand your
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah. My favorite type of people, my beloveds. Very fun.
The kind of people are interested in it because you're interested in it, like because you're like so passionate. You
Yeah.
talked about this one time, and they're the unsung heroes of society.
They really are. They really.
Because who wants to listen to a couple of VR nerds talk about VR for 3 or 4 hours in a row? Because there's this really cool world that Dr. Morrow made, and it's like, who the fuck is Dr. Morrow? What the fuck is a world? And why? I don't understand, but I like the enthusiasm.
Yeah. That's such a problem. Like, because you talk to people and I'm like, yeah, I saw Mills, or I saw Medlish, or I went to this really cool 10xx set, right? And you can just see like the glaze. It's like, I have no idea who these people are, you know, and like, you know, especially to my like, I can talk to my parents about this sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, I hung out with Noah and Mass and Tabby and those sorts of people, and they're like, that's fun. You know, I don't know these people, but that's fun. And my nan is like, oh, are you going on your computer this weekend? And I'm like, yeah, Nan, yeah, I'm going on my computer.
Well, at least you could tell your grandmother's trying to relate to you a little bit. She may not understand, but at least you could tell she's trying.
I know. Yeah, beautiful woman. I love her to bits. I do.
Indeed. You know, it's just the kind of thing that VR is in that weird place. It's really hard to explain to people. Like you could say it's like VRchat's like Ready Player One with loading screens, but at the other time it's like, oh well, what happens in there? And then you kind of feel like the joke I bring up all the time, the dude with frizzy hair pointing at a map with lots of red lines everywhere. You kind of feel a little crazy sometimes. It's like, how could you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, because it's like the cogs turn. It's like, oh, they've actually asked me what happens now. Now I have to think of a good way of putting this, because I came up with this analogy. I don't know if it's any good. That if you're into a sport, right? Say you're into football, you're at least gonna have something to relate to that's if someone's into golf, right? You meet someone that's into golf. Those two people are going to have at least something, right? That maybe courses that are, I don't know, but tennis, you know, at least they're going to have something to relate between those two, right? They're not the same, but they're kind of the same. VR is one of those things where it's like, oh, okay. You like video games? You played a video game? Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Do you know what Habbo Hotel or Second Life is? It's kind
yeah.
of like that, but with a potato on your face. Like, okay, what can I do in there? What do I say?
Yeah. You know, whatever you want to do, I guess. And they're like, anything? I'm like, yeah, anything. And being sit, and they're, you know, and because like, I sort of have to catch myself sometimes because I've been to like comedy clubs and stuff in here, right? Super fun if you ever check them out. And it's like, yeah, you know, what'd you do over the weekend? Oh, I went to a comedy club, and then you're like, oh no. They're like, oh, did you go to the city or something? I'm like, nah, no.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Sure. And it sounded like a jet turbine. It sounded very angry for about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that was the highway. Oh Lord.
Because I don't know if this is a common thing. I don't know if you do it, but like I'll say with these clubs, I'll say I went to these clubs, right? I went to Shelter, I went to DDVR, because that's what it feels like. You going to these places. You're not physically going anywhere, right? I'm still in my bedroom. I'm still at home, but you do feel as if you've gone somewhere, right? And then you come back, you take the headset off, and I'm home again. What a fun night. So yeah, just like I went to this thing over the weekend. Oh, that's cool. Where do they do that? And you're like, oh, inside my computer.
How do I tell them I raved with 4 Patricks and a SpongeBob? How do I tell them this?
Oh, we had an event on Saturday, which is like called Cientello Fest, right? Cientello is a drum and bass track that has become a bit of a meme. So the whole event was just this absolute shit show. Just like meme avatars all over the place. Like the sets were insane, just like unhinged. And I'm just like, oh, how do I explain this one? You just like, you know.
How do I tell this person what I did? I could send them YouTube poop, but that only make them more confused.
Yeah. You know, like those MLG YouTube, right?
Skibbity toilet, because all that stuff, but they still won't know.
They won't, because one of the things I think if you have to have an understanding of to get this or understand it is internet culture. The internet culture is just ingrained in here. So like we had Cientello Fest and there was Shrek avatars and the fucking rave parrot and you know Toothless from what's it called, How to Train Your Dragon.
Yep.
All these like weird obscure internet memes. And if you don't spend a lot of time on the internet, if you're not like a digital native, you're just not gonna get it. It's just this crazy culture.
Yeah, I definitely can understand both sides. As before I came into VRchat, I was not an internet native. I was just like, yep, right. Twitter's a place filled with culture warriors trying to keyboard warrior their way through things. It's a toxic place. YouTube is okay. And I don't know. The more I've came in here in VRchat, the more like internet culture kind of slowly drip fed into my life. And now I'm like, yeah, cool. This is the How to Train Your Dragon parody. I remember this.
Yeah,
and it's a lot more normal. Like, in a sense, VRchat kind of ruined me, but also I kind of understand more so than the average person what the internet is and what a lot of people, the modern culture, modern thing, whatever you want to call it. Like, I understand it better than I did when I first started.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, okay, that's interesting because yeah. So you're quite new to like internet culture as a whole.
The only closest thing to internet culture I understand is when my 4chaner friends force-fed me scarring things because they thought the
Right.
rule-following
Oh,
goody-goody was hilarious when he saw the scarring thing. Guess what? Do you know what Mr.
right.
Hands is? Is that like a puppet? That's the
Yeah.
closest thing to internet culture I got then, and I kind of was like immensely
Mhm.
hesitant to be a part of it. Like I'd pop into Twitter or MySpace at the time, be like, "Wow, this place is weird. I'm gonna go back and doing other things in a gully." And now that I'm in VRchat,
Yeah.
it
Okay,
feels
wait. Go back. Go dial it back a little bit.
yeah. Okay, fun fact.
Yeah.
When I said do things in a gully, like a big divot, kind of sometimes a little wet.
Uh-huh.
Well, me and some friends growing up would like hang out in a gully all the time. We'd like go look for geckos
Right.
and just
Okay.
do random shit in a gully, grab sticks and beat each other like we're two
Okay.
knights or whatever. Stuff like
Right.
that.
Wholesome. Yeah.
Wholesome
Shit.
children
Okay.
things. It's not like doom scrolling the internet. Like I barely did any of that growing
Yeah.
up at all. Like it wasn't until
hmm
even now I don't doom scroll. It's like I go to the internet the same way I shop for things. I look for something. Cool. I want
Yeah.
VRchatworld. Let's hop on Twitter. There are lots of VRchat photographers. I see like 40 of them. Save this world, save that world, save that world, save that world. Cool.
hmm
I'm done with the internet adventure. Back off to do something.
Yeah.
But-
That's a really healthy way of doing it. I might steal that.
Go ahead. Like I try not
Yeah,
to
yeah.
spend a lot of time on the internet. VRChat's the only exception. But even now, it's not like I'm doom scrolling, watching like the 12th political thing, hearing about how terrible a thing is. It's I get to go in here.
Yeah.
I get to talk to Soxxalotl again. I learned a whole bunch of cool things. Or we talk about dumb memes. I don't know the meme, so Soxxalotl shows me the meme. Wow, that's funny. Like
Yeah.
that's how I've learned a lot about internet culture is like through people, which I think is a lot healthier than like
Right.
the alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I when I was a kid, I used to go out a lot. We used to have like a basketball, I know, strange in the UK, but we had this like football pitch that was also a basketball pitch, and we just hang out there and listen to music and get drunk. But I'd come home and spend time on the internet. Right, I was there for like in the UK we had this like early social media called Bebo or Bebo, as some people call it, which is like the same time as like MySpace. So like we had that and like early YouTube, right? Like you say, YouTube poops and like the MLG memes and like Let's Plays, right? I was massive on Let's Plays. And yeah, that's where I sort of picked everything up from. But yeah, from an outsider's perspective, this place is so weird. Like I think
Yeah.
VR chat culture probably could be its own little niche in here. I mean, it obviously a lot of internet culture seeps in, but we have got our own little things going on, right? Like Cientello, for example. I think even if you're outside of the club community, or even if you're outside the EU club community, that might not click straight away. I'm not sure, but it's just this weird little inside joke between maybe a couple hundred people, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, VRChat. I've heard some people like describe to me VRChat's like its own city. Like at this point in time, it's not really. It's a niche, but it's like it's a populated niche. It feels like you're going to a city with its own culture and its own places to go and do. You can go to
Yeah.
the bar, the Golden Grade, and hang out with people, or you can go to the club scene over at Just Party, or you can go over and see a play show with with skits and bits or anything of that
Yeah.
nature. Like it feels more like a city and less like a platform. Like it's again, but back to the whole. It's hard to just tell people what goes on in here. And I can understand, like, it's hard to understand, too. Like, if you come in, you just get dropped in, and, like, have fun, little new user. Good luck. It's like you see things and colors, emotions, and people, and there's a Patrick and a cactus doing some weird things in the corner by a mirror. I should go over this way.
And there's a magic to that, though. Because there isn't, like, there's no algorithm, right? There's no, oh, you might like this world, and you might like that world, or, like, this is this is what we think as VRchat or as the platform think that you'd be interested in doing, and then all of a sudden you're down this rabbit hole in this funnel. you have to come in here and find your tribe, right? You have to come in here and find the people that you really vibe with. And once you do, it's magic. It's great.
Yeah, it's
But there is that curve that can put off a lot of people. You know.
There is some magic too. Like once you find your tribe and your friend group, it's almost immediately after you get to watch the friend group grow as your friends bring their friends, and their friends bring their friends, and eventually you have your own little group of people doing things and having fun. It's like one really big family within an overarching larger family that no one really understands.
Yeah. I mean, you see it a lot in the club community. Like recently, the people that I sort of hang out with, we've had like this little influx of new people, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, there's this new person that's hanging out, and you get talking and you get to know them, and oh, I know this, I found you through this person, or like, I'm friends with this person. I thought I'd try it out. And it's like it's natural, people come and go, like it's a revolving door. It feels natural. It feels, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool.
I definitely can agree with you. It does feel a lot more natural. Fun fact for those who don't know, Metaverse Degen lore. That's how I find out about a lot of our guests. It's like I'll go talk with someone.
Right.
It's like, oh, did you hear about this cool thing? It's like, oh, you should go talk with them. I'm friends with this person. It's like, okay, let's go on an adventure. I don't know what this thing is, but let's go. And it feels. And you're right. It does feel a lot more natural. It's not like it's not hand curated to you. It's not like you're. Guess what? Here's a top 10. It's more like, guess what? One day you're in a rave, and the next thing you know, you're talking with people who hold plays. It's great. It's a fun little natural progression of things. Much preferable than algorithms.
Yeah. So, yeah. And see, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm mostly in the club scene, but even within the club scene, you've got so many different types of people, right? Like artists and musicians, producers, and you get talking, and then, and as a DJ, I sort of have this rule, or the philosophy where I want to be part of the crowd. The DJ should be part of the crowd. The host should be part of the crowd. If I'm booked for an event, if I'm going to DJ at your event, I'll try, or I'll do my best to be there for a good chunk of that event, right? I won't just show up, play my stuff, and then go. And through doing that, you just get chatting to the people that run it, and you get chatting to the people that are there, and it's this snowball effect of like, oh, you know this person, I know this person, and oh, you were at that event, yeah, it was, and all of a sudden you have this community of people, right? This group of people that all have maybe not the same background, maybe not the same interests, but like this little thing that they can say, oh, this is ours, right?
Yeah. Another thing I like about VRchat is it's a place where who you are doesn't matter. Like, you could be rich or you could be poor, but at the end of the day, VRchat culture is usually like, that's you, but we're here now.
Yeah.
Like, who out there doesn't matter. Right now, you're dancing with a Patrick. Guess what you're doing now? Dancing with a Patrick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that might be quite uncomfortable for some people. I think if who they are on the outside, if they present very strongly, or they have a very strong idea of who they are, and then they're put in here and they're stripped of all of that, right? I mean, I definitely found that. I was like, this when I first got into VRchat, I was between jobs and stuff like that, but I was a normal dude. I played video games every so often and watched TV and had, and I remember when I first got in here, it was just like, oh, I have no idea how to interact with these people, like, oh, should I just go up and say hi? Because the real world has these social norms, right? You don't just go up and start talking to someone at a bar, or maybe more so at a club and a festival. But in here, it's got its own social norms and its own sort of like do's and don'ts, and again, that's a learning curve, right? It takes time, or unless someone is there to sort of like, okay, this is where we're gonna go, this is what you got to do, like, sort of handhold you a little little bit, but
I
I think that might be
maybe
off-putting to some people.
you're right, and it could be so off-putting, but at least one of the biggest, what I think is a VR chat culture rule, is everyone's so willing to help you guide along whatever you're trying to do, whether it's learn the cultural norms or learn a different thing. At least people are very willing to sit with you. It's like, yeah, well, this is what you shouldn't have done. You shouldn't have gone up to the person and said the funny 5-letter word, because fun fact, if you read their bio, it upsets them, and the people sit with you and be very patient with you on like walk you along the process
Yeah.
of becoming acclimated. It's not like in the real world,
Yeah.
if you don't follow cultural norms, you get shunned and pushed out of city in a sense. Like no one will want to talk to you. It's like you're come in, you don't know, maybe you're funny American in Japan, being very loud and annoying, and next thing you know, you kind of you feel estranged. At least here, people are like, oh, you must be new here. Guess what, kiddo?
Yeah.
At least it's a lot more like the patient to guide you there. That seems more like a VR chat culture
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, the club scene. I mean, I've had some oopsies. You know, I've especially like I love a drink, so like I'll wake up on a morning and be like, ah, Soxy, what you do? And because because you have that sense of community, I think it's just like, yes, there's people that will sit you down and say like, right, you fucked up. But there's also the sense of, is this really worth it? Like, is it really worth like what I'm doing and what happened? Is it really worth making a big thing? Like, is it not better to just be like, hey, like I fucked up and that wasn't right, and let's try and be better next time, and I'm gonna be trying to be better, you know?
Yeah, I just like
Because from a personal perspective, oh, go.
I just like that about VR chat.
Yeah.
Like that whole mentality you're describing. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. I was just gonna say from my perspective, like I don't want to lose this. It means a lot to me, and I'm not prepared to lose it over some dumb stuff, right? I made a mistake. Okay, I'm not perfect, but I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna try and be better. Because it's worth it.
It is worth it, and I think VR. One thing I've noticed, and I've actually heard from various groups, and as I've been existing in this platform, is it's that exact mentality of I can do better, I can learn to be better. The patience people have here to like, alrighty, if you go click these settings, you can fix you with these problems, or maybe your headset's this thing. And the fact that a lot of people in VR chat, at least they tend to grow to be that way of like, a whole lot more patient, a whole lot slower with things. It's not just like think. Guess what? You're annoying. Fuck off. Block gone. It's more like, okay, cool. This person doesn't know. We're a friend group. They offended some people. Hey, kiddo, come here for a second. Let me school you a bit.
Yeah.
At least people help guide you through whatever this VR metaverse is more than often than not. Than like, guess what? You went to Japan and you're a loud American. Guess what? No one likes you now. It's not like that. It never does feel like that most of the time.
I think the first thing that comes to mind for me when you said that is we've all been new here, right? We've all been the visitor. We've all been the person lost in public worlds thinking, what do I do in here, right? And you can relate to that. So it's like you see a new in a club, for example, you see a new user, and I'm like, maybe they don't know, maybe they have an idea, maybe they've watched some YouTube videos, maybe they know no one in here. Let's just go help out. Going back on what we said earlier, like it's you want to make it work. You want this thing to grow. You want to make it a place where you would feel welcome. So yeah.
I definitely agree. Make it a place you wish you had, and at least that way, over time, things will grow and accumulate and become better. Like I like to see the day when a new user can come in a VR chat and not worry about the crazy black cat stereotype. Come in here, they get to go.
Yeah.
Like they'll meet someone who's like, "Oh, hey, cool, you're new. Let me show you one or two of my favorite worlds," and just send them off on a portal. Oh, you're looking for friends? Well, there's this really cool Discord you should join called Ancients of VR Chat. You can meet so many cool people there, and from there, it's like It feels a lot less like, guess what? I listened to a SpongeBob and a Mickey Mouse yell funny words for 4 hours. I don't like this place anymore. I like to see that at least VRChat grow up to that, at least to there, and it's getting there. It's getting there quickly.
I hope so. I hope so.
Mm.
The club community, like I keep going back to it, but it's
No.
most of what I know.
I understand.
You know, maybe this is circling back a little bit, but it you know, is very inclusive. If you're watching this, come say hi, come have a good time. Find a club that you really like if you're into music at all, because it is such a good time. It doesn't have to be a replacement for what you do. Don't be me. But as a supplement, it's great.
It is very great, and I've found the VRChat club scene to be some of the most coolest things and have the coolest people there, especially with visuals and stuff. It's like I've been to a few clubs in real life, and honestly, I kind of prefer the VRChat ones because at least it's flashier. There are people who actually are a lot more passionate about what they're doing. It's not like you're just seeing a dude play songs because they're being paid to. It's guess what? This person really enjoys dubstep of the specific variety, so they're playing the music as well as they can because it's what they like. And then you see the world the person's built with all the flashy, cool things. It's always evolving, and it seems like a better place to me than the real life equivalent.
There's a lot of passion there, honestly. Honestly, I mostly DJ happy hardcore. Like I'm trying to dip my toe into different genres, but I think for maybe 10 months now, most of what I've mixed is happy hardcore. That's the music I grew up with. It's the stuff I listened to when I was the weird rave kid at school, right? It's the stuff I used to listen to when I played Call of Duty. It's you know, so to bring that in here and share it with people, it means something to me. And I think that's quite common among DJs, right? It's music that they either love or they're really passionate about, or they made themselves. Like maybe you do get that in real clubs, but there's a lot of pros to what we do in here, like the club community. My toilet's like 10 feet away, you know, there's no queue. The beer's cheap, there's no travel time, but like you said, some of these clubs are looking stunning. And as a side to the full-on raves, there's also the amazing visual experiences like Light Dimension, if you've ever been there. Absolutely stunning, that sort of blends the idea of music with the visuals and makes it this whole thing. It's really special. And it's not a replacement, because I said this, you know, there's a guy at work actually who is a real life DJ. He's a resident at a local bar, and he says it'll never replace what you know, the real thing. And I'm like, I don't think it's meant to. I don't want it to. But as its own thing, something that maybe moves alongside the real life club scene, absolutely, I can see that happening. Because it is just getting better and better and better.
And as technology is spreading and getting more like with AR and VR, you don't necessarily have to be. You either go to the real life club or you go to the VR club. It's why not mix both? If AR headsets become cheap and a lot smaller, you can just put it on, and guess what? You're in a real life club. There's the VR equivalent. You get to dance with a Patrick over in the club as the light visuals match. There was some on Twitter. What crossed my feed as I was looking for worlds. There was a club, real life, that not a club, an event. There was an event of sorts that matched the real life lighting with the VR lighting. So when they both ran out the same program, so when the visuals was happening, it was in sync and the same for both. So when you saw the laser lights move around in real life, it was the exact same placement as VR.
Was it Tube? Because I know they're doing, like, there's a little bit of the mixed reality stuff. Maybe.
Maybe it was Tube, but I think it was also like another niche group. I wish I remembered. Like someone out there knows, please tell me, because I'd like to reread about it. But it was like there's cool stuff like that, right? It doesn't have to be either or. With the way tech is going, you can do both simultaneously. Like with the DJs
Yeah.
in real life can just run it on stream and then throw that in a VR CDN, and then
Mhm.
they're also raving and or playing for VR at the same time. Like you can do both.
Yeah. And you've also got like portal events, right? You've got these events where there's an event going on in real life, and they open a VR chat lobby, and there's sort of like this screen between the two where you can go up and you can interact with people in the real world, and they can interact with you. Maybe there's a pen so you can write messages to each other. And yeah, the blending of the two, that idea is so cool.
I'd like to see a lot more blending, like not just portal events, but like AR augmented reality events, kind of like what Tube is
Yeah.
doing, where people get to dance and do stuff with each other. Like the fact that I see Tube, the club Tube, messing with AR is really fucking sick. Because the fact that you could be in your own room and you get to watch an avatar jump on your bed and dance around and whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
it seems like a really cool thing. Like if clubs were to do that in real life, like guess what? You come in the door, you get your Quest 3 headset with augmented reality, events 2 hours. Guess what? Both are raving at the same time. Both has some relevance to see each other, and it seems like a really cool mix.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could the imagination could go wild with that sort of thing, right? You could have like, if we ever figure out holograms, you know, just like, oh, well, I'm in a club in real life, but there's a Patrick there, you know, and we're raving together, and we're on different sides of the planet, but we're still together. You know, and maybe that idea sort of goes away from VR, and you can have two identical clubs in other countries, right? And you can be partying with holograms of people that I don't know, but
Yeah.
we're really. I mean, when did the first like Rift come out? But it hasn't been a huge amount of time, and this is only if there's still people buying it, and with these big corporations getting involved, there's money being poured into this thing, like huge amounts of money. It's just gonna get better and better and better and better.
Especially with software developers, and then you got headsets doing stuff, and then you got the enthusiasts in VR doing their crazy things, like what Tube's doing the incorporation of both. I think as all the players in current VR work, it's only going to get better. No, I also see the point of it being terrifying for people who's like not sees it as a horrible thing. But at the exact same point, they said the exact same thing about PC computers back when there was a dude making it in his garage. Guess what? That's everywhere now. Everyone uses them for everything. VR is the same thing. Like it seems like a tech that is in the Nokia phases where I'm going to quote Raptor here, but you can either learn and adapt with the times or get left behind. And I think VR is one of those things that people are going to have to either learn or get left behind.
Yeah. It's like with everything, like social media, and when you say you don't doom scroll, right? I think this technology that we have these days is a tool, right? Like a knife is a tool.
Yeah.
It's how you use it and how it's being used on the larger scale that sort of creates the impact that it has, right? iPhones are great. I can talk to people wherever I am on the planet. Could they drain my attention for 4 hours? Absolutely. You know, it's what we do with what we're given. I think that's the bigger player than the thing itself.
I agree. And I hope with VR, unlike Twitter and Facebook and doom scrolling, I hope VR gets treated with a lot more care. Because I want to see this succeed, and I want to see people be able to put on a VR headset, learn to be a DJ one day, and the next thing they know, they're playing for lots of VR clubs and doing festivals in real life for fun. I want people to have that kind of experience with it. I want people to like hop in, learn a skill, make it a big thing, do it for fun, and enjoy themselves. Not like, guess what? Now you get to go in VR and see 7 minutes of ads play on the loading screen before you're allowed in, and then have to do. No, I want to see VR become its own thing.
No. Yeah, yes, please. Yes. The thing, because right now where we are with VRchat anyway, it's like we own
everything, right? The worlds and the avatars and everything. The user base controls where it goes. And I think it's going to be important that the user base keeps that. I think it's yes, accessibility features and making this thing a smoother experience. Yes, please. Better tech that I can use and that makes my experience better. Yes, please. Restrictions on what I can make and what I can do. No.
Well,
no.
As things get bigger and more people come in, we will need some rules. Like we can't just allow people
We'll
to
need
make
ground. Yeah.
funny avatars that offend people because they can. There has to be some level of like, yes, little kiddo, you shouldn't make the funny little avatar you want because it's not a good idea. It's like same thing with Twitter. Yes, because you can post a thing doesn't mean you should post the thing. But at least there is that freedom to. But at least here in VR, we kind of have a cultural. It feels like a culture to hold ourselves accountable. It seems like the whole VR community is very willing to go, guess what? We fucked up. And then the whole community tends to like police itself in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's happened. It happens in the club scene, right? There's been times where things come to light or things have happened, and it is the sort of the community as a whole that decides what happens now. And that, like you said, that's probably the best way of doing it. Yes, you can't make everything that you want. Well, how do I word this?
You can
just because
make
you
what
can
you
make
want
something doesn't
mean you should make what you want.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's things that you can make that you're not gonna want to make. But yeah, I just we need to keep freedom like in here because at the minute it's a huge amount of freedom.
Well, at least with the VR community, when companies and people try to do, guess what? You have to pay to put your world out. Cough, cough. Horizon Worlds. Cough, cough. Decentraland. Cough, cough. They failed.
Right.
Like no one came. Like when Horizon Worlds came out, it's like you have to spend money for this spot for your club. No one went. The entire VRchat community went, why would you do that when you could do it here for free? And then turned back to do their thing. Like no one went. At least, the community is willing to pay with their attention and their dollar to prevent those things. So at least when people kind of look at the metaverse and see and have dollar signs in their eyes, at least the main, like the base of people that these companies should be winning over pays attention enough to goes, ha, no, and then moves on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because I've heard this place described as the old internet, right? You've probably heard this too.
Yep. I've heard a lot of people say it feels like the old internet.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it is a lot like that, like the pure chaos and creativity, right? People having their own websites is not a thing anymore. Because big tech moved in and made these big websites. So yeah. It could go that way, right? I like to think the internet as a whole will learn from its mistakes. At the end of the day, like you said, if no one comes, there's no use case for it, right? Yeah, you can make a big flashy platform and it endorse it through the nose and spend a lot of money on it, but if the people don't like it and they don't arrive, they don't show up, then it's not going to work.
Well, unlike the other platforms, the VR base does seem like across political spectrums and cultural spectrums, it seems the freedom to create and be yourself is the most important cultural feature within the metaverse. Like I've seen people from left to right, different races and ethnicities, different religions, and that does seem to be a very common theme. The freedom to be myself, the freedom to say what I want, the freedom to create what I want seems to be a really big factor here. And I'm glad it is, because the Zuckerbergs can't move in and create this overarching massive super platform that, guess what, we got to deal with algorithms in VR now. At least here, you kind of say, well, you could go to Horizon Worlds, new user, but you could do all of that for free over here.
Yeah. It's just you see some things like you've probably seen it too when I saw Zuckerberg um on who is it, the Lex Friedman podcast, right? The interview in the metaverse, and they've
Yeah.
got these really fancy 3D models of themselves, right? And they're interviewing each other, and I'm just thinking, what it's not quite what I want. Like, yeah, it looks cool. Like, yeah, I'm sure it takes a lot of tech, and you've put a lot of smart people behind it, but it's not what I want, right? I want to be this, I want to be something cool that I can't be in real life.
Mm.
Maybe don't take that away, please.
Yeah. Well, I just think with like the Zuckerbergs and all of them, I just don't think they understand the internet culture as much as they think they do. Yes, they make money running the internet culture, but in the end of the time, I think the metaverse is kind of the point where it's like less platform and more its own thing with the metaverse. So it's the people kind of know what they want out of it, especially with VRChat being the amazing place it is. We kind of are a bit of spoiled over here where we can run our own events, we can run our own groups, we can do all these things, and only thing you need to invest is time and to learn a skill to use Unity and Blender. And guess what? The entire VRChat's your oyster at that point. Make a platform,
Yeah.
make a world, make an avatar, have fun. And because of that, we kind of look at other stuff like the Horizon Worlds and other big platforms or crypto bro platforms and kind of say, why would you spend $1,000 on an 8-foot square plot you can't do anything with? Like, I can go in VRChat and make this massive super cyberpunk city if I wanted for free. Do I lose a year out of my life? Yeah, I'm going to lose a year out of my life working at Unity and Blender, crying, not wanting to throw my computer out the window. But at least,
yeah.
At least there's that freedom too.
And you've learned something along the way.
Indeed.
But because I think it was a while ago, there was this rumor that Zuckerberg was going to buy VRChat, right? And a good friend put it really well to me, and she was like, we own everything, right? We have the worlds, we have the avatars. If we don't like what this platform becomes, we just move, right? We just go somewhere else. We pick up, we go somewhere else, we plonk it down. There's some very smart cookies in this community. Very smart people in this scene. And if there's a core user base of people that don't like where this thing goes, I have no doubts they're just going to pick up and move. Yes, they'll say no to growth. Yes, they'll say no to maybe money and monetization, but they'll keep the freedom that they found so important in the first place.
Well, there is Resonite as a really good secondary option. I'm not sure they're as evolved as VRChat is at this point, but at least it's like a secondary free-to-go platform. It's there, and if like VRChat becomes a big corporatized terrible thing, which I doubt, because the people who run VRChat are just as much in here as we are. It's not like they're like Zuckerberg's place where they're just a bunch of software designers who really don't want to be in a room that smells like Sweet Baby Ray's for some reason. At least here, they're here raving with us. They're here hopping worlds and enjoying events. They know and understand here in most VR metaverse platforms. So at least we know they're paying attention. I don't know how much they want to be at work, but at least we could say that much.
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know the story of a lot of the staff, but Tupper, for example, was here from day dot, right? He wasn't a staff member at first; he was part of it, right? He was just a user, just a dude hanging out. And I think your point makes a lot of sense because it's important that people that are making these things understand what it's about, right? It's like going back to community, right? This place didn't have an idea, right? VRChat didn't really have an idea of who it was going to attract when they made it. They didn't know what it was going to become. They just made a load of tools, and they were like, whoever arrives, right? They didn't think, oh, everyone's going to be an anime avatar, right? And that just kind of happened.
Mm.
And I think because of that, oh fuck, how do I put this into words?
Take your time.
Because of that, there's a lot more pride in it.
Mm.
You know, people care about their stuff so much more.
Mm.
Because it's theirs at the end of the day. You know,
Mm.
they made it.
Mm. I find some peace knowing that the people who are in running VRchat are in here just as much. It's not like they're like, oh, you know what I think is good? Let's add this cryptocurrency thing and just force people to pay to use worlds. It's at least, you know, it's like, yeah, if you're to do that, Mr. CEO, man, you know how much the VRchat community is just going to leave and go to Resonate? It's going to be instantaneous. Do you remember that one time? At least they have some idea of what the community is going to do because they're here with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're Facebook where they have a bunch of software designers hating life and smelling Zuckerberg's favorite smell of Sweet Baby Ray's. At least they're here with us. They're in their VR headsets. They're just as much enthusiasts as we are. There's not to worry about they think they know, but they do know. So at least there's that peace of mind.
Yeah, and I would like to think as well, if they don't know, there's probably people around them that they can go and ask, you know, because they're in here all the time, right? If they want to know, like, oh, we're bringing out this new thing, what do you think about it? They can go and ask all these communities, like the clubbing community or the dancing community or whatever. They can go and see, like, what do you think? Maybe, I don't know. It's probably what I'd do because I'm dumb. You know, my.
To me, you don't sound dumb at all. You sound quite intelligent from this last 2 hours we've been talking. Give yourself more credit, man.
Maybe. I'm just in here a lot.
Well, what's knowledge but accumulated experience?
True. Yeah. I just, yeah. I don't know.
Some really smart
thank you very
person.
much.
No problem. I'm sure some smart person is like, you know, Lion, that's a really stupid thing you said. Knowledge of stuff you know, blah, blah. It's like, guess what? Suck it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make lots of people angry. I should stop.
See, I don't get involved. I ain't got a horse in this race. Don't come for me.
Blame him. It's his fault.
No. Oh, fuck.
Oh, Lord. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Sox, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you the last couple of hours. Where can people find you if they wish to find you?
Well, first, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. This has been really fun. It's been great to meet you too. If they want to find me, I've got a Twitter. Or in here, I run Just Party. That's every Wednesday, every Thursday night, every Wednesday, every Friday. I don't even know my own event. I DJ. Keep an eye out on timeline. I'm playing somewhere. If I'm playing somewhere, I'm probably at that event. So yeah, if you see me around, just come say hi.
Alrighty. Well, with that said, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us and listening in and getting to meet this wonderful guest. Go out, meet somebody, learn something, tell us all about it. Have a good one.